The Bible says God made the world in 7 days. Simple enough. But what if the world hatched from a cosmic egg, or was built from a giant's dismembered body? Or maybe it was just a messy fight between drunk gods? Today we explore 5 creation stories so wild, they make Genesis seem well-behaved. We've explored some wild ideas about how everything began. From cosmic eggs to divine architects, mythology offers countless explanations for our existence. But what if the truth is far simpler and perhaps a little more sleepy? Our number 5 comes directly from Hindu mythology, particularly in the ancient Upanishads, presents a truly mind-bending concept. Imagine the entire universe. Everything you see, hear, and feel is nothing more than a dream. Not your dream, but the dream of the great god Brahma. According to this theory, Brahma dreams the universe into existence. When he's awake, it simply isn't there. These cycles of creation and dissolution are incredibly long, each lasting a staggering 4.32 billion years. That's one heck of a power nap. So, where do we fit in? Well, if the universe is Brahma's dream, then we are essentially characters within his cosmic slumber. Every person you know, every place you've been, every event in history, all part of the divine narrative playing out in his mind. Now here's where it gets interesting, and maybe a little controversial. If we're just figments in a god's dream, does that mean your annoying boss, your ex, or that ridiculously long line at the grocery store are all just Brahma's fault? It's a tempting thought, isn't it? Blame the sleeping deity. This profound idea of reality being a dream within a larger consciousness has resonated through philosophy and even pop culture. Fun fact, director Christopher Nolan has admitted that this very concept from Hindu cosmology was a key inspiration for his mind-bending film, Inception. So next time things feel a bit surreal, maybe you're not just having a weird day. Perhaps Brahma is just tossing and turning a little in his 4.32 billion year nap. Just try not to wake him up too soon. Now let's dive into one of the craziest creation stories out there. For our number 4, we'll be heading to the Aztec cosmos, specifically to the story of the fourth world. This isn't your typical orderly creation. According to the Florentine Codex, it all started in darkness with 2 powerful gods just hanging out. Meet Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror god of night and sorcery, and Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god of wind and wisdom. They were rivals, and apparently they weren't having a great time in the void. So they did what any good rivals do. They fought, a massive cosmic scrap in the pitch black. Now here's where it gets weird. In the middle of this divine wrestling match, something unexpected happened. They didn't just fight, they accidentally created the earth. During the scuffle, Tezcatlipoca lost something pretty important, his foot. Ouch. But don't worry, that lost foot didn't go to waste. Quetzalcoatl, ever the resourceful one, saw an opportunity. He took his rival's severed foot and, well, he used it. He kneaded the primordial stuff of the cosmos with Tezcatlipoca's foot. He worked it like dough, like tortilla dough to be exact. And from this bizarre, foot-kneaded cosmic dough, the earth was formed. Yeah, let that sink in. The world in this version exists because 2 gods brawled, and one's foot became a cosmic kitchen tool. It leads to a slightly irreverent question, doesn't it? Did Mexico, the heartland of this myth, get created because a god went a little crazy over the cosmic equivalent of Taco Bell ingredients? It's a fun thought. But the story doesn't end there for Tezcatlipoca's missing appendage. It got a celestial promotion. That lost foot became the constellation Ursa Major. And the brightest star in that constellation? That's the North Star. So next time you see the Big Dipper, remember it's not just stars. It's a god's missing foot that helped make the world. Mythology, folks. It's never boring. All right, mythology fans, let's move on to the 3rd place on our list of creation stories. Every culture has one, right? Or sometimes it's just a god simply deciding that things should exist. But ancient Egypt? Well, one version is a little less conventional. It comes from texts dating back to 2400 BC, specifically the pyramid texts from Heliopolis. Prepare yourselves because this one involves divine beverages. So the story goes that in the very beginning there was just Atom. He was the self-created one, floating in the watery void. Pretty lonely, I imagine. Now, how did he decide to kick off existence? According to this particular interpretation, he had a bit too much divine beer. Yes, beer. He drank until he was, shall we say, significantly impaired. In his inebriated state, Atum apparently had a rather eventful reaction. He vomited. And what came out? The sun god himself, Ra. Then, perhaps feeling a bit congested from all that divine ale, Atum sneezed. And from that mighty sneeze came the next pair of gods. Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture. And just like that, the first generation of gods was brought into being, thanks to Atum's bodily functions post-drinking. This leads to a rather intriguing and frankly hilarious question posed by some scholars. If the first gods were created this way, was the very foundation of the Egyptian cosmos laid during a divine bender? Was ancient Egypt in essence founded by a cosmic hangover? It's a fun thought experiment, isn't it? It certainly puts a unique spin on the divine plan. And just to add another layer to this theory, consider this. Ancient Egyptian beer was often made from moldy bread. Yes, moldy bread, which honestly might explain Atum's rather dramatic reaction. Perhaps it wasn't just the quantity, but the quality of the divine brew that led to this unique creation event. So the next time you ponder the mysteries of the universe and how it all began, spare a thought for Atum. Alone in the void, perhaps feeling peckish and thirsty, he grabbed a cold one. And the rest, as they say, is mythological history. A history potentially kicked off by a god who just needed a drink. We are approaching the end of our list, and in this second place we will talk about how the Norse have a slightly different idea about the creation of the world. Their world didn't begin with light or void alone, but with a giant, a really big giant named Ymir. In the vast empty space before creation, there was only the icy realm of Niflheim and the fiery realm of Muspelheim. Where they met, mist formed, and from this mist, Ymir, the first frost giant, emerged. He wasn't alone for long. More giants sprang from his body, and eventually the first gods, like Odin and his brothers, were born. But the gods and the giants weren't exactly friends. The gods looked at the chaotic, formless void and decided something needed to be done. Their solution? Well, it involved Ymir. They slew the giant, and from his massive corpse they built the world. It sounds a bit grim, doesn't it? But it's incredibly detailed. Ymir's flesh became the earth itself, the solid ground beneath our feet. His blood, rivers of it, filled the low places, becoming the vast oceans and seas that cover the world. His bones became the mountains, the unyielding peaks that scraped the sky. And his teeth, they became rocks and pebbles scattered across the land. Even his hair became trees and vegetation. His skull was held aloft by 4 dwarves, forming the dome of the sky. But what about the parts you might not expect? Ymir's brain was tossed into the air, becoming the clouds that drift above us. And his eyebrows? They were used to build a protective wall around the realm of Midgard, the home of humans, keeping them safe from the wild giants. It's certainly a creation story with a bit more hands-on approach than some others. At least the Bible doesn't start with a god doing cosmic butchery, right? It makes you appreciate the sheer inventiveness of ancient myths. And for a fun fact to leave you with, the Vikings believed that when the ground shook, it wasn't tectonic plates shifting. It was simply Ymir, the dismembered giant, turning over in his grave. And now, for our number 1 theory. We're going to prove that every culture has a story, and some of them are, well, a little eggy. Today, we're cracking open one of the oldest creation myths from China. This tale dates back to texts from the 3rd century BC, featuring a giant named Pangu. Imagine, if you can, a time before time. The universe wasn't empty space. It was a giant black featureless egg. Everything that would ever be was crammed inside this single cosmic shell. And inside this egg, for eons, slept the first being, Pangu. He slumbered in the dark, waiting for his moment. One day, after 18,000 years, Pangu awoke. He stretched, and with a mighty crack, the egg split apart. The lighter, purer parts of the egg, like the egg white, floated upwards. They became the vast, clear sky. The heavier, murkier parts, the yolk, sank down. They formed the solid, stable earth beneath. But the sky and earth weren't finished growing. Pangu stood between them, pushing the sky up and the earth down. Every single day, Pangu grew taller by 3 meters. For another 18,000 years, he kept pushing, separating the sky and earth further and further. As he grew, the distance between heaven and earth became immense. Finally, after all that time, Pangu knew his work was done. When Pangu eventually died, his body transformed to complete the world. His breath became the wind and clouds. His voice became thunder. His eyes became the sun and moon. His blood formed rivers. His muscles the fertile land, and his bones the mountains. His hair became the stars, his skin the fields, and his sweat the dew and rain. Even the fleas on his body became animals. So let's think about this for a second. The sky is egg white, the earth is yolk, and everything else came from Pangu, who was born in the egg. In other words, according to this ancient Chinese legend, you, me, the mountains, the rivers, we're all made of rotten eggs. Just a thought. Despite the potentially questionable ingredients, this myth is super influential. It even inspired a famous scene in modern pop culture. Remember that trippy cosmic egg sequence in Marvel's Doctor Strange? Yep, that visual nod comes straight from the legend of Pangu and the cosmic egg. Pretty cool how these ancient stories still pop up today, right? All right, mythology fans, let's settle this. Is it the cosmic egg, the butchered giant, drunken gods, a tortilla fight, or the universal dream? Which story takes the crown for craziest? Comment below. And if you think the Bible is wild, wait for the video on the 5 most bizarre mythological ends of the world. It's coming soon. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. If you enjoyed what you saw and want to keep up with all the cool stuff coming next, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps a ton and ensures you won't miss any future uploads. Let's keep this journey going.